Now, when we get into the actual fact of scoring targets, there's a 2 or 3 guidelines we want you to be aware of. And one of the most important ones, and one of the foundations to being a good safety officer in IDPA, is the premise that in any questionable scoring call, you rule on behalf of the shooter. If you have to look at a target real hard and say, I'm not sure whether that's a 3-point or a 1-point down hit, if you have to even look at it hard, or you have to take some time and deliberation and say, I'm not sure, you shouldn't even make that effort. It instantly is called on behalf of the shooter. The same thing would apply, for example, in the case of doubles. If you're in the target and you're convinced that there's a shot missing and you have one of those holes that in your mind's a question, it could be a double, give it to the shooter. Now let's get more into some of the specifics about scoring targets, some of the things you want to watch for and some of the things you want to be aware of. I've got a couple of targets here that I want to go over with you and give you some insight to SO procedure and scoring. They're right here behind me. First off, let's imagine I'm scoring these 2 hits on this target. This one clearly is not even close to the perforated edge. But if you look at this one, it's real close, to the point where I wouldn't even look at it, hard for an instant. It's there. It's so close, I'm not even concern myself with it. So if you have to look at a target real hard to say, is that in or not, you don't even attempt that. Give it to the shooter, higher value hit. Now let's go up and look at the ones in the head of this target. Here's an example of 3 edger hits. Remember, the targets have a perforated edge. The perforation must be broke for score. This first hit is clearly a miss. It's not even remotely close to the perforation. This next hit is real close. As a matter of fact, it's so close, I'd have to look at it real hard to make a determination. Hence, instantly, the shooter gets the value of the hit. And this bottom one is real easy to determine. It's broken to perforation. It's clear to see. Remember the rule once again. When in doubt, instantly give it to the shooter. Let's talk about the discussion of doubles. And this is a good example in these 2 bullet impacts in the head. This double here means 2 bullets through the same hole. This is real obvious because it's oblong. In a glance, anybody can look at that and say, yeah, 2 bullets have went through that hole. But if you look at this one next to it down here, a lot of people would say, that's only 1 shot. Well, I can assure you it's 2 because I saw the guy do it. But if you're scoring a target and this was the only hole in the target, it'd be real easy to say there's only 1 hit. The contestant missed. If, on the other hand, you look at the hole, and if you look at it carefully, it is somewhat oblong. It's slightly oblong. Again, as a safety officer, if there's question in your mind that you're not sure whether it's a miss or not, give it to the shooter. One other area in scoring that causes some concern with some people is our rule about no-shoot targets. And this is a good example. You've got a no-shoot target or a non-threat target that's over top of a shoot target. Remember, IDPA has a rule. Shoot-throughs count. Whichever targets get shot through, both get the value of the shot. An example like this one, here's a shot fired at the threat target that nicks the no-shoot, but has not broken the perforation. Remember, the IDPA rule is the perforation has to be broken for score. Since it did not break the perforation, this target would not be scored as a penalty. Remember, a penalty for a non-threat target hit is a 5-second penalty. It's pretty severe. This one would not incur it. The contestant would get the value of this hit on this target, which is down 1. The hit above it, which clearly breaks the perforation, that's real obvious. Again, that one's obvious. They hit the no-shoot. They're going to get the penalty for the no-shoot, and also they're going to get the value of the hit behind it. So this one, they're going to drop 1 point on the shoot target, but they're going to add a 5-second penalty for a no-shoot target. So remember, the perforation has to be broke. Anytime there's a question in your mind, you're scoring that, don't hesitate. Award the value to the shooter. Now let me talk to you about one other facet of scoring targets. We have an IDPA rule that says any time a target has got over 50 holes in it, or been pasted 50 times, you need to get rid of it. It's got too many holes in it to be scored effectively. Another thing, when you're shooting standard exercise match or fixed drills, try not to have any stages or any requirements that would have a contestant shoot more than 12 shots on a target. That really makes scoring extremely difficult. Now take a look at this target behind me here. It's been pasted quite a bit. If you can imagine looking at a target, for example, in the bottom of the 8-inch ring, scoring ring, there's a number of pasters right on the perforated edge. If a contestant fired a shot through here, it can be very difficult because of the paster to determine where the perforated edge is. Again, if you look at it and you say, I'm not sure, give the value of the hit to a higher scoring ring on behalf of the shooter. Here's another example of a target with a lot of shots in it pasted in the head. When you've got this many pasters in one confined region, Even though it may not exceed the 50 paster region, it can make it extremely difficult to score. For example, in this case, the question could be, is that one bullet hole or is that two? Because of the proximity of all the pieces of tape, it's going to be very difficult to score. So you've got targets that's got this many pasters on them, it's to your advantage to replace them on a routine basis so you don't set yourself up for difficult scoring decisions. But the final word is, when in doubt, give the benefit to the contestant.